to the principal, this St. Thomas College, Ulai and Dr. Ratish for giving me opportunity to interact with the audience, particularly young scientist children. So, as I told that I am extremely sorry because due to this problem we got already late, and I'll not take much more time. So, this as I was suggested by Dr. Ratish that my presentation should be some kind of attractive for the particular student or young audience. So I tried to frame my presentation in pictorial form rather than textual because people will enjoy the journey of Himalaya and the resources of Himalaya. And this is title must be knowing the traditional wisdom and environmental friendly use of natural resources. And now coming to the topic, because I told that it is around natural resources. So everybody aware what are natural resources? Because water, air, atmosphere, light, and flora, fauna, whatnot. So these are the gifts by nature which you are enjoying freely. And without these gifts, we cannot sustain our survival is not possible. So these natural resources are different type of natural resources. Some are biotic, abiotic also, and you can see the this Himalayan region itself. This land resources, soil, water, air, wind, mineral resources, energy. So you can see here the picture. One of the picture in Mandi district. I am showing this. Yeah, it is this salt mine, and here that we call the Goma Namak in that area. So this is the best source of natural salt. You can see, and this is again the mountain that we are talking about. Soil and mountain not only provide us substance, but also it inspire us to how can one should be stand with even in adverse situations. So it give us strength in to survive in our life. And you can see the abiotic land here in Lahaul Valley, because my talk will be around focused around this bioresources of Himalaya and particularly Himachal Pradesh. Up in Himachal, this all in Lahaul Spiti high altitude area. So you can see the farm fielding that people are harvesting different type of crops. And again, if you come lower elevation, then you can see this undulating lands, and this is soil, because I told the soil is the not only soil, even soil without soil, our extent is also not possible, because we get all resources. Either it is microbes, plant, flora, fauna, whatever it is. We are dependent totally on our soil resources. And abiotic, we are talking about water. Water, in fact, without water, nobody can think life, because these are sort of all resources, either water, either air or soil. These are essential resources of life, without which we cannot survive a few moments also. So these are the some water resources of this high altitude area, and you can see the these glaciers, which you call that water tower, because these are a perennial source of water for plains and local area also, because ultimately all human sustenance depends on this. And these sources also form some lakes from here. Number of rivers originate, and then passes through long distance, and helping the human being for their survival. And you see that without this power water supply, we cannot imagine the production of electricity production, because if these glaciers or these lakes are vanished, so this type of production and this type of activity will automatically vanish. And type of natural resources, again, wind I told you, is a very useful source of energy, and a lot of devices and kind of miles also run through with the help of this wind, and it is one of the natural source of power, and without we cannot again think life. Fossils also, as across the world, without fossil, nobody can again move ahead, because these are sources of fossils where you can get a lot of petroleums or different type of gases. So ultimately, this is the essential part of our life. So what you can how can you conserve that? We have to think about these sources. And solar energy, again, I told that everybody talking about the vitamin D's and light and everything. So this is another source where we are survived because of this, because vitamin D and light for even not only plants, also microbes, it is essential. And apart from that, this is one of the ample source of solar energy, and nowadays a lot of organization in the country or abroad thinking about to tap this solar energy for the welfare of human society. And again, I'm talking about this type of natural resources, biotic resources, that could be forest resources, flora, vegetation, and wildlife. Again, these are an integral part of the environment, or the essential part for the human being, so survival. So we cannot think life about these without these biotic resources. And because I told that these are very valuable for us, our economy, production of different type products, and clean air, health, everything in our cultural value. It has immense value. So we should at least teach students or children at home to make them aware about the value of natural resources for human being and in our society, or as such for the all living entity in the world. In fact, as I told that these certain resources which are being used by human being irrationally, I mean irrationally and scientific way, and in very short form, crude form. So just for the sake of our own to gain certain short-term goals. So until you will not sorry, think about the sustenance of maintenance or conservation of these resources, everything will be vanished. And for these resource threats are major, as I told, industrialization, human being interruption, overpopulation, deforestation, soil erosion, and a lot of factors are responsible for the threat of this. And another thing that we hardly think about these things, because you remember that this time pandemic COVID-19 had realize people that what is the value of this environment and society and human being, because you can survive without money or some food for moment at time, but without these natural sources we cannot think life. So there are certain laws in our policy makers, or like that lack of policy for production of wetlands and adequate information of existing law, and many other things, and moreover some NGOs are need to be sensitized, and some political commitment is very important issue. Until unless political commitment is not fulfilling then at the lower level, at the common level, we cannot think how to execute, how to implement any policy or any rules to for the harmony of the nature and natural resources. And since I am talking about high altitude area, so high altitude has its own characteristics. So this you can see the highly fragile mountain ecosystem, and youngest mountain ecosystem in the world. But you can see that very a high precipitation because it's very low rainfall in this area, and high radiation because there is a clear weather, and you can get affected with direct high radiation and ultraviolet rays. Even these sort of things also affect the survival of some plants, and high wind velocity and sparse vegetation because obviously since this area is very fragile, so it's vegetation very sparse, but this short type of vegetation very sparse and very short and thorny. So it indicates that even plants surviving this area have special or characteristic or special feature that make them adapted in this adverse climatic condition. So you can see this here, the how this fragile system that you can imagine that simply the mountain of some muds or soil, and though there is no rainfall, if you imagine if rainfall experience there, then these things will uh, totally vanished, and you can see with the air wind current, the withering is starting here, and this is the very matter of great concern. And again, see another view of this mountain area, Rocky Mountain in that area. But here you can see there's some area in remote valley gorges. You can find some very sparse but very valuable flora and fauna. You can see some open valleys, and these are some scrub vegetation and woody, thorny, and you can see the valley. This is way to Leh Ladakh from Brij Lal area, and it is at elevation of around 5,000 meters from the ever sea mean level. And you can see when it is in summer or September, October, November, you can see the scene of this area totally barren and naked. But after getting snowfall, it is totally covered and turned into white carpet or white bedsheet like. Yes, I am telling that these glaciers are the real source of perennial source of water, and you can see this how it is flowing from slowly, but it is quite old, and you can see the again withering and deterioration along the sides, and moreover because of human activity, internal pressure and increasing temperature, global temperature, it is they are melting very fast, and it is highly threatened for the survival of human being. See, I saw this lake. This is the source of river Baga, which is a sub part of the Chenab River, which is enter into through by Punjab into Pakistan. This is again a place where you can see the inhabitation, and people are living this side, and very marginal land holdings and natural bioresources. One is salix and hippopi, that is hippopi Sibokthon plant, that is highly valued plant of this area, and I'll also explain about this plant later. Then you can see these barren land are also, as I told you, the source of various valuable medicinal aromatic plants, and you can see the patch of this Dracosipilum heterophyllum, which is highly valuable essential reading plant, and we work on this plant, and it is highly valuable for the human being, and particularly the people living in hydro areas. And you can go through some, these are the tropical diversity, and you can see this some floral diversity because people and those particularly living in far away from this Himalayan zone, they cannot even visualize the flora vegetation of that area. And this Himachal Pradesh itself harboring around 4,000 plant species, where representing 1,000, 1,100 or genus and around 300 families. You can see the diversity of medicinal flora, towards the highly valued flora. This you can Aconitum heterophyllum, source of aconitin, and ephedra, another highly valuable plant resource of ephedrine, and this area also harbors Lahaul species around 200, 1200 species and highly heavy medicinal value. You can see this Dracosipulum, this is Podophyllum exandrum, and Picroria curua. This is one of the very big plant, highly threatened plant. The source of picrocin or cutkin. This is used in jaundice and many other ailments. You can see here these plant sources. Inula puskarmul. This is one of the highly exploited in this the indigenous system medicines, and this is cultivated only in high altitude area, Lahaul Spiti, and this is Inula racemosa. This is a Dracosipulum, I told us, Picroraja and Ephedra. And you can see the Aconitum podophyllum, and this is Dactyloraja, one of the Salam Panja or Half Panja, highly valuable plant. And this is another newly exploited, and that is Nakchatri, Telidium govinianum. Lower elevation plant, Valeriana, Muscubala, Hedicium, Kapul Kachari. This is Texas. You might have heard about Texas, how it was exploited in recent past. And this is another valuable plant in growing in lower hills, mid hills, and a very good source of essential oil. And the institute has given processing agrotechnology to the farmers and on the mission basis. And regarding ethnic diversity, you are talking about this around in the country. You will find that there are around 500 ethnic group sections, and which represent around 8% of the population of the total population of the country. And if you're talking about this Western Himalayan or Himalayan region particularly, then you can see the major community ethnic group. This is J&K, you can see Bakral, Balti, Belda, Bodo, Dropka, Ladakhi, Gujar, Sipi, and Himachal, Bengali, Bhotia, Gaddi, Panara. And in UK, Bhotia, Boksa, Jat, Jonsari, Marcha, Raji, Panrath, and Northeast Adia, Patani, Bodo, Garo, Jantia, etc. And you see the ethnic diversity in Himachal. As I told, this is from Pangwal, Pangi area in Chamba district, and this is a Gaddi community, Gujar, and this is Kinnora and Lahaul. So they are the real custodian of indigenous traditional knowledge and maintaining their cultural even today in this modern area. This is a few attire from this Chamba area, Pangwali, Pangi Valley. You can see the different type of costume, how they are decorated on a special occasion, some function they are celebrating. You can see that this lady attire. This is Lahaul Valley. This is the Spiti Valley, Bhot community in Bhotia. This is Kinnor district. And while working in this area for last 25 years, I got opportunity to explore this area thoroughly and get interaction with the knowledgeable people and knowledge holders of that area to record about the information, the utilization of natural resources of that area, particularly high area. And what I found that people are in such a difficult area, they have such discovered various ways of self-sustenance. So they hardly dependent on outside work to fulfill their day-to-day requirement. You can see here different type of woolen weaving and lot of local devices techniques to fulfill their day-to-day requirement. Now, talking about natural resource utilization and in terms of that, without affecting the nature or damaging nature. So I want to give some glimpse of this area. You can see inhabitation of our altitude area to make this houses at this elevation. This is 4,300 meters. This is called village Kibber in Lahaul Spiti Valley. So here people Bhotia community are residing, and you can see the village and their houses, and you can see this another in Valley or Spiti Valley. this Mud area. Uh, this is another village where you can see the houses, how they made these houses from locally available resources only, because you can see the only these are made from mud and local stones and small sculptures like that, and you can see totally covered with the mud and this traditional house. And some area also still practicing this grass covered, thatching covered this house in Pangi Valley, and some lower bit in Kinnaur lower area you can see this bit wooden work. Just see again in Spiti Valley. What are the resources they use for this purpose? You can see that we are talking about soil. So they are taking different type of easily available metal from that area, and you can see the different type of metal, straw, soil, and some other material, and they can making some brick from the soil. And that after making the brick, so they are preparing these houses. I told such type of houses are ultimately built, and so in fact they are totally dependent on these local resources. So because in that area, you cannot imagine even that how can you take their iron, steel, or many things, cement from outside. But with the change of time, there are also things are changing in that area. Another resource I was talking about, water mile, Gharat, because this is the one of the means of livelihood in recent past in hill area across the Himalaya. And you can see this now today they are going to vanish because people are shifted toward electric operated miles and floor mills. So they are hardly very few people who are emotional attachment with such of mills. So they are doing still there. And here I want to say that how they are tapping that natural source of water. You can see here the series of Gharat or water mills. So one person just starting here from the school or channel, then passing to different area, and finally these water are also used to irrigate their fields. And so I mean to say they are using these resources judiciously, and even to make this Gharat, you can see this totally local resources, this slate from the local stones and hardly wooden with the technical. This is a case of Chamba district, and even this Gharat also I have noticed as the 4,000-meter elevation in Lahaul Valley. So you can see the technique and innovation here, which are the basis of this modern turbine, electric turbine. And this is not only, even at that time, maximum people in villages used to make this garat and used to earn their livelihood. And that was not in terms of money, but in terms of just taking some bit of this floor, what you have there prepared, and you to give whole time. And apart from that, these resources and natural resources, one thing what I want to discuss here, that these gharat not merely source of earning and just getting floor from this, but in fact the or in itself institution, social institution, because here people used to come from different villages area and used to interact with each other. And so knowing even children going to there, that you to learn by interacting with the people and how to evolve these things. So it was used to pass from generation to generation. But today, if I ask my children also, they hardly know what is Gharat. So this is another way, and you need to be think about their renovation. And recently we published a paper. I'll share in that Avin group people after a few days, and you can see the detail what is the impact or importance of Gharat in our life. So you can see the this is the, what I told, the resources, totally indigenous resources, locally available resources to make these traditional watermelons. And Gaddi, I told that is another community where their livelihood totally depends on this pastoral farming and pastoralism. They carry their herds in high to mountain area when summer, and with the end of this October, they return back to the lower Shivali hills and lower plains to make them places of grazing, and you will be surprised that these herd shepherds having their route different to one cannot enter another route because they are traditional right and traditional route from uh, quite ancient time. So they are following even today, but new generation is their interest is declined toward this. But this is not only just taking their meat and milk or like that, but these are the sources of a highly valuable livelihood, that is wool. You can see this sheep around they are earning. You can just they are harvesting this wool in field itself, and after that they started this weaving and threading this these people, and you can whatever they are put on, they totally made from their own this threads or woolen threads, and you can see how can they earn their livelihood, different type of products, and right from socks to shawl or anything. And people in high altitude area, they are highly enterprising, and moreover, they are highly very good custodian of keeping that various primitive cultivars. You see here that this is buckwheat, and they are filled of the peas in Lahaul Valley, and this is Spiti Valley, Lahaul Valley, and this is the barley field in Spiti. And again, this is the amaranth, highly a source of protein. And another, the dairy economy also depend in the Lahaul Valley. You can see the potato, known for ancient time, medicinal plant, inula, and you can peas, and this is hops. Hops is the used for this preparing of wine. They collect this fruits or heads and sold in the market for the distilleries. And this is another kut Sosoria lapa, and this is another plant which were being in cultivation for the quite earlier times. And this is the only plant where we heard that the plant are cultivated in high altitude area in quite earlier time. And apart from this, some people's livelihood also depends on some seasonal crops or natural crops or fruits, because you see the rhododendron flowers and people collecting from nature and selling in the market. Though this gentleman is simply putting various manufactured produce here, but you can hear so people are purchasing for preparing chutney, squash, and jam jelly also. So this is the plant we are collecting this produce without damaging plant, or I should say in very sensitive or judicious way. So without damaging plant. So such type of we call this is the environment friendly usage of plant. Hippopi, I told that another culprit of this area, high altitude area. This is the plant having tremendous potential in terms of indigenous usage as well as in pharmaceutical usage also, and industrial usage. This plant is locally known this charma or sharmang, and has wide range of adaptability, deep root system, because roots go up to 15 feet expand, and this through nodules. It has a highly, because it has its root has a actin riser association and having this high nitrogen fixation capacity, and this can survive in different pH range. And have I told that is one of the richest source. I think even after this amla, this is one of the richest source of vitamin C. And you can what we are talking when we are talking about environmental harmony, or how can You see, this is the field where barley field, and the people are harvesting around this some salix and Thorn, hippopy, because they may not know, but if scientifically you'll see, think that these plants having nitrogen fixation capacity and nothing like any better for a crop or field. So apart from that, it is protecting from the wild animals and local cattle also, because these are thorny and bushy. So, and they also harvestable. This is another plant for lower altitude, because when you are talking this Bonia Valley, tremendous scope, because it's I think each and every part of this plant is highly useful and being used by people in high altitude area. So this mid hills, making from platters and you can say dona and balls and umbrella and pot or an umbrella. So even not only that, if even in traditional festivity, the platters are served, because if you see the long-term benefit of environmental benefit, that these are degradable as well as do not require water to wash as we require some this plate or like that. So this is a multi-beneficial plant, and socially also very important, because it indicates here that picture that how social integrity and associated with this plant. And above all, the people in the lower hill area also, many of the people dependent their livelihood to a large extent on this resource. And since they are the leaf being used, so it hardly damage nature of plants, because they are a huge woody lineage, and to produce lot of leaves, and not only Himalayan, some part of central India also. And another important valuable natural resource, bioresource I should say, this is fern. You might have heard about this Diplagium. Diplagium esculentum might have heard, probably because it is generally used and sold in the market and northeast also. But this plant is confined to this western Himalayan region and goes up to 3,000 or 3,500 meter elevation. It will grow in valleys and gorges, and people in summer, this is at right time to now June to July, people enter in this area and collect the fronds of this, and it is a very good seasonal vegetable, and different type of dishes are prepared from this, and even all this pickle also prepared from this plant is also can be stored for months or years. So this is again sold in the market by some local NGOs also, or women self-help group, to earn their livelihood. And you can also carry, if you can take some willing to get it, you can contact through these people. And another biosource is that is I should say free gift from nature. This is the morchella. This is one of the highly nutritious fungus, and you cannot cultivate it. People trying their level best, but total all in vain. And this is it after drying, it cost around 3 to 4,000 kg per kg of this, and they supplied in big hotels. So they, during the season, they also earn. Some people get in the forest early morning. Lichens, you might have heard the value of lichens, because used in as fragrance, as spices, and also dyeing, coloring. So the people simply going in nature and collecting it. So this is another source of nature, and you can see why biodiversity matters for us, or bioresources, because we require necessity, not its luxury. And important that our global economy, health, everything, environment, harmony, totally depend on this. But due to this increasing demand of natural resources, herbals in nature, so they are being exploited from nature, and there are many factors, as I told, affecting habitat fragmentation, forest land diversion, and construction of many hydropower projects, building roads, etc., etc. And we need what can you do to timely intervention that the resources left or knowledge left, associated knowledge left with this bioresources particularly need to be conserved, documented, and explored and should inventorize these sources. Those who are on the verge of threat and the highly threatened category need to be conserved through conventional as well as non-conventional method, that is the modern biotechnology. About this natural bioresources, we until now should not sensitize or motivate our student or school children level. So our whole exercise will be futile. So what we do, we need to be sensitize these children, those who are future, to at the school level. And for your information, way back in 2000 to 2005, I have organized 5 consecutive training programs in collaboration with the Wildlife Institute of Dehradun, and students participate from both state Himachal Pradesh and our Uttarakhand. They took participation, and it was a whole program that is formulated in terms of as named it as a vacation training program for school children on bioresources. So it was funded by DBT, and I enjoyed to interact with the student and at that time. And I hope that people will take message from this. This feature is very important for us, and we need to sensitize them. And friends, during last 1.5 years, you are passing through very crucial phase, and there are certain plants which are highly sought to protect our health, to conserve our health. And I feel that among such resources, there are a lot of resources of Himalayan region where it can replace these sources and for the well-being of human. And I duly acknowledge the cooperation extended by the authority director, then director, and the indigenous committee particularly, though have shared freely their knowledge with me, and many various funding agency without which we cannot succeed or complete many assignments. And I dedicate this talk to Chief Women Leader Padma Vibhushan late Sundar Bhagunaji, who recently expired, and our corona warriors who played a crucial role without caring their self and their family life, so and saved the life of millions of people. So we should salute them, and thank you so much for your patience. And if any queries, you are most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, our presentation is over now. Now we will start the discussion session. You can type the questions in the chat box. We got a couple of questions in the chat box right now. And I welcome Dr. Ronnie Moore from Dublin University to interact with Dr. Brij Lal now. Dr. Ronnie Moore, you can unmute yourself and ask questions directly to Dr. Brij Lal.
Hello, thank you very much, Dr. Lal. That was fascinating. That was really interesting. I'm an anthropologist, so I have 100 questions in different directions, but I will only ask 1 or 2. I'm quite interested, because I'm a medical anthropologist, I'm interested in not just biodiversity, but plants that have a special significance because of health, and also not just because they have an efficacy that can affect change, but also local people have invested their ideas, religious ideas and other ideas, in partly in what they eat and what they take. And so this goes into the psyche of individuals, food and resources. And my question to you is, there is a big concern because of traditional medicines and traditional ways of discovering and rediscovering medicines. There are issues of losing plants and losing drugs. And I think in the past, certainly through the colonial period, when Britain, for example, and other countries as well, have kind of, you know, had to sort of enforce that colonial experience. My sense is that certain types of drugs and plants have not been utilized by local communities. This is probably less so in the high Himalayan regions, but in other parts of India and in other places. And my question to you is this are these ideas of plants and medicines and so on, how are they transferred from one generation to the next? Because if you don't have people who tell younger people about medicines and plants and drugs and so on, you lose the knowledge. And I wonder, do you have any information on anything like that at all? That would be very interesting to me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ron Murray.
Yeah.
In fact, what very nice question you have raised. In fact, the new generation is totally declined towards this carrying forward this old tradition. Because if you take this example for this shepherds, so recently what I have noticed that people are young generation are not getting involved in such activity, because which is I think even today I realize that this is the best profession to being with their herds and enjoying a pure environment in different season apart from pollution. So what I feel that I'm very sorry to say that people are not interesting, and very few who perhaps who do not have other sources, other means of earning, they are just following it. Otherwise, maximum people are declining. And same thing with the medicinal plant also have. There are a lot of I found a lot of genius and local traditional healers in that area. And if you are interested, you can share with this Ratish your email ID or like that. I can give my number of papers on medicinal plant used by this indigenous community of high altitude area, and some of them published in indigenous Journal of International Journal of Ethnopharmacology. So in that way, I am shocking, because I have been lost a lot of my friends or traditional healers during this period who are really thorough in knowledge. But very sorry, the people are going away from this. Am I okay, sir?
Yeah. Okay, sir. Now, thank you, Dr. Ronnie Moore. I welcome Ravina to ask question now. Ms. Ravina, you can ask questions directly, right?
Sir, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon.
I am studying in Kerala.
Yeah.
I asked two question to you. Can we think of applying our science and research through rational use of our natural resources?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Can we think of applying our science and research through rational use of natural resources?
Why not? But only what I told, that we need to be sensitize these people, particularly like you are new researcher or school even doing their graduation, post graduation. So in that way, what I feel that at least first they should make clear how we can the resources which are resources being exploited unrationally. So there are different methodology and different resources for eligible resources. So we can think, and you can apply also. And moreover, in Kerala, the Institute TVJRI and many others are doing a wonderful job from quite from earlier time. So and even there, Dr. Radhakrishnan and many more people are doing this work. So you can also contact, and you will get your answer. And
thank you, sir. Thank you.
He would like to know the water management of Gharat region or major issues of social oriental despotisms?
Water origin?
Water management of Gharat region
Yeah.
or major issues of social oriental despotisms?
Yeah, in fact, water management, earlier what happened, there are some perennial, two type of sources, perennial and seasonal sources of water. So when people, those who are away from this perennial sources, they used to channelize this rainy season water in a particular season. But when these perennial sources, they are along with their paddy fields or like that, so they never stopped it, but they just using it very systematic way. As I told that after using their gharat also, they are using this water for this irrigation of their paddy fields particularly. And in certain area, as far as another gharat, other than gharat area, where the people are rain-fed area, where particular for their cattle, they used to make certain type of check dam or to sustain their herds or their cattle. And as far as social is concerned, today, if you talk today, I feel that hardly young people or many people do visit this gharat. Only a few, those above 50 or 60 around, because they have a emotional attachment with these activities, and since they are practicing it for ancient ages, they cannot give up it. So this is the what I observed.
Okay, okay, Dr. Brij Lal. The discussion session is over now.
Yeah.
Okay, we are concluding. Dr. Brij Lal, on behalf of the Department of Biochemistry and everyone who attended this talk today, I would like to sincerely thank you for taking time off your very busy schedule to give us a talk on traditional wisdom and environment-friendly use of natural resources. I am certain that everyone here today was able to take a lot of useful information regarding the topic. We are grateful to have personalities like yourself working tirelessly to strengthen environment as well as the ecosystem. I would like to thank my colleagues at the Department of Biochemistry and Unnat Bharadavi and Selapur College for helping us to conduct this webinar. I would like to sincerely thank our principal, Reverend Dr. James John Mangalat, our bursar, Reverend Father Matthew Alapattamedale, and IQSC coordinator, Dr. Eisen, for giving us technical support to conduct this webinar. With that being said, we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Once again, we express our sincere thanks to Dr. Brij Lal FES on behalf of UBSL, IQAC and all St.Thomas community. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Doctor, I feel that hopefully you will enjoy the journey of Himalaya and your audience. And again, my apology for this interruption in between. That was not in my hand. So I'm sorry.
Thank you, okay, sir.
Okay. Have a nice time.
Okay.